Right, right. I'm not even going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to give you some big dramatic build up and introduction to the camera being turned on. I'm just going to be completely, perfectly honest with you. I am gubbed. I am absolutely gubbed. So if I start coughing and spluttering and sneezing all over the place during this video, during this stream, I should say, apologies. Luckily for you, you're behind the virtual shield that is your tablet, your tellies, your phones, and you're not actually right here beside me. I am gubbed. I have returned from Denmark, and I have returned with a horrible cold. I'm hoping it's not the big COVID-19 in the year 2025, but I've returned with a horrible cold. So I am spluttering everywhere. And I'm going to try and hold that back for the next half hour, 45 minutes as we catch up on live stream after everything we've missed after I went away to Denmark earlier this week. I am back. I'm here in one piece with the chesties cough known to man, which is always fun. But it's good to see you. It's good to be here nonetheless. I thought we would go live this afternoon rather than doing a video because there is just a lot to catch up on. I mean, there's the game itself, which I haven't even covered. Didn't really want to. There is obviously everything that happened last night, I should say, with the statements released by the club and the Green Brigade upon the suspension of the Green Brigade from Celtic Park for the next few games. And obviously, there is the huge glaring issue of Celtic still needing a permanent manager. It feels like we are walking into the last dance for Martin O'Neill tomorrow. If I was to put my money on it, tomorrow will be the last game that Martin O'Neill manages for Celtic. And he'll go with the appreciation, of course. But just to give you a kind of insight as to what we're dealing with, and moving into this international break, I think Wednesday made it as clear as day that we cannot hold up the progression of Celtic Football Club for sentimentality. Or should I say Thursday? My bad. I'm not even got going yet. I think that, I'll put it this way. If I done a match reaction directly after that game on Thursday, I would have probably got my channel taken down by somebody at YouTube. I was so angry. So angry. In fact, I'm willing to go out on one here and say, I think it's the angriest I've ever been supporting Celtic. It was worse than Kairat Almaty for me. It was worse than any derby defeat I've ever seen us suffer. It was worse than any of the Champions League humiliations. And some people might be like, oh, Ryan, it wasn't that bad. It was. It was. And do you know what? It's not on... I'm not meaning it was bad, like I'm trying to direct everything towards Martin O'Neill, the coaches. I'm not even trying to direct it to the players. The reason that it made me so angry is just because if you told me this time last year that we would be losing 3-1 and down 3-0 at half-time to the likes of Midtjylland, with all due respect to them, in the Europa League, I would have laughed at you. And it makes me so fucking sad that this is where we are. Celtic Football Club are getting battered off of Midtjylland in the Europa League. It is, yeah. So Thursday I was really angry after the game. I went out, drowned our sorrows, of course. Yesterday I was contemplating making a video as we kind of made our way home. We had a long journey that started at like 11 o'clock in the morning and we didn't get in here till about midnight. So it was a long day and I thought, do you know what? I'll let my thoughts settle. I'll let my opinions settle and I'll try and talk about things in a little more of a kind of level-headed, well-fashioned style, and try to do it with a little bit of dignity around me, you could say. Because if this was me directly following Thursday's game, I think a lot of people would have been probably cutting off my channel and taking out of their daily routine. I mean, I can't help it. Look, I love Celtic. I want the best for Celtic. Celtic is, for like many of us in this chat right now, it is a huge part, if not the biggest parts of our lives. And what we have been served up by this board is just disappointment after disappointment on a European scale. For a club who were once the champions of Europe, for a club who not even 25 years ago were in a Europa League or a UEFA Cup final, for a team that, you know, not even 15 years ago was still able to beat the likes of Barcelona. And now we're getting scalped by Midtjylland. And I can't help but reiterate, no disrespect to them. They're a good side. They're top of the Europa League for a reason. But we shouldn't be going down 3-0 in the space of 10 minutes and trailing by 3 goals at half time. No. It is totally and utterly unequivocally, whatever word you want to use, unacceptable. It is unacceptable at the highest level, and I can't help but reiterate the point of these dinosaurs, these crooks, and these bandits that run Celtic Football Club should be fucking chased so far. For me, Thursday wasn't on Martin O'Neill, and it wasn't on a particularly poor group of players. I think what we all done, and we were all guilty of it a little bit, I think what Thursday reinforced to me is Rodgers wasn't the problem. Was he part of a problem? Of course he was. Was he the problem, like people started to jump into? No, and he never was. I've been saying that from the minute the statement came out on the Monday evening after he left the club. Rodgers wasn't the problem. He was part of a wider problem, a huge problem, and that was something that did need to change. But we were the ones that maybe naively got lured into thinking that a win against a Falkirk team who Rodgers battered, and a win against the worst Rangers team in my living history was enough to think we're back and we're fine. We were all pretty naive about that. And interestingly enough, when I was in Denmark on Thursday, I got pulled up to do an interview for one of the broadcasters. And one of the questions that was asked by the journalist was, after tonight, should Martin O'Neill be considered for the job? And my exact words were, listen, if he wins tonight, that obviously offers a big conversation, and maybe we shouldn't be quick to turn it down. But we cannot let sentimentality get in the way of the progression of Celtic Football Club and looking out for the future of this football club. Those were my exact words. I don't know if the interview ended up getting published or if they binned it, I don't know. But those were my exact words. And I've been saying that since last Monday. And I think we were all a little bit naive to get dragged into that, especially because one of the wins was against Rangers. But the fact of the matter is, no matter who's in charge, they should have been getting results against Falkirk, and they should have been getting results against Rangers. And I think that we need to be very, very serious now about what happens moving forward. It needs to be taken with the utmost care and consideration for the next 5 years of the club. Never mind the next 9 months or 8 months or 7 months or however long is left of the season. It's nowhere near 9. I don't know where I pulled 9 from. But yeah, I just, it's not O'Neill's fault. It's not Rodgers' fault. It's not anybody who could have been in caretaker's fault. You know, it's this rot that has existed at Celtic Football Club stems from the top and it has made its way all the way through. And I don't think anybody is innocent. I don't think the players are innocent who haven't been good enough. That includes the club captain. That includes your experienced players. That includes your young players. I don't think any of them are innocent. I don't think Brendan Rodgers was innocent. I don't think the setup that what Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney put out there can put them into any form of innocence, but I don't think that anybody there is particularly to blame. The people who are to blame and the people who should share the responsibility, the biggest majority of that responsibility for blame, are the board. It's as simple as that. They're the ones who undersold everything. They're the ones who undermined everybody. They are the ones who have left this squad in the state that it is. And I'm really happy to see some players kicking on right now. I really am, but good God almighty, we're starting European games with front threes of James Forrest, Johnny Kenny and Sebastian Tenecti. It is fucking embarrassing in so many different ways. So, yeah, well, we've not even had a chance to just speak about the game itself and the 90 minutes that happened there, but that's why I'm doing one of these streams, because I want to get your guys' opinions. I want you to aid on with the conversation. Of course, there's going to be a lot of talk about who the next manager will be, what we even do, what is next for Celtic. I mean, where does your extent of worry go to is what I'm looking for, because after that game on Thursday, when we were sitting in the boozers in Herning, in Denmark, and we were having conversations about it, like, I want to sit here and say, right, let's just say it's Knutson, because there's been a lot of talk about him this week. Let's just say it's Knutson that gets the job. Do I think that he's going to deliver unparalleled success for this football club that's going to be something that we remember for years to come? No. Not while these fuckers are at the top. Not while Nicholson and that are there. It's going to make no fucking difference. So strap yourselves in, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing's going to change. What they'll do is, they'll back him at the start. Whoever it is, whether it's Knutson, whether it's Nancy, whether it's McKenna, whether it's fucking Ange, I don't know. Whoever it is at the start, they'll back them. They'll back them. They'll go and get them some players. They'll go and get them some talent. And they'll go and win a treble. And they'll go, that's it, we're back. Everything's great. We're great. Oh, all the problems, easy to forget. And see, 3 years into the appointment, we'll be right back here. As long as Desmond and Lawwell and Nicholson and Mackay and all of them are there, in 3 years, no matter who gets given this job on a permanent basis, we're going to end up right back at this point. We're going to be here. I'm going to be sitting here, hopefully in a different studio. I'm going to be sitting here having these same rants, having these same conversations, because it's the cycle of Celtic. It's what we do. So, I don't see a world in which things get better at Celtic long term, or anything advances beyond the domestic expectations that we set ourselves. And a big part of that problem is, and people might not like to hear it, we have too many fans who are fucking comfortable with that. There's not enough fans who are ready to go and fucking challenge these fuckers and to get rid of them. Because that's what we need to do. That on Wednesday, I remember walking around in Denmark after the game, and everybody was basically singing from the same hymn sheet. But we need to keep that going. We need to keep that going. We need to remind them constantly that they have no place here. They're so unfit for purpose, and they've set us up terribly for 10 plus years, 20 years. And that's where we are. A couple of donations to dance through to kick us off with some of the fan chat and some of the opinions. We'll start with Connor, who donated a £5. I appreciate it, mate, and thank you. Alright, Ryan, I seen you in Denmark in the game on Thursday. Was shocked though. Knutson, it should be O'Neill's last game. Thoughts on Knutson, and it should be O'Neill's last game on Sunday. I think it has to be. O'Neill's made it clear he wants it to be his last game on Sunday as well. Like, Martin O'Neill does not want to be here. And I don't think that it's something that we should properly entertain. The message is clear now that we need to look out for he's a 73-year-old man. You know, even if he did stay to the end of the season, we're just delaying the inevitable. Knutson would be fantastic. I know there's been a lot of talk about it. I just can't see a world in which Knutson sits down with these crooks and goes, aye, this seems like a task for me. Knutson is a guy who transformed a football club in Bodo. He wanted to come and transform Celtic. And I don't think that the Celtic board will let him transform the club. Thank you, Cammy, as well, for another £5 saying, mentioned Efrain Juarez for the last 2 weeks now would be a good appointment. Great to see he's been mentioned. Yeah, I've seen his name's been doing quite a bit of the rounds these last few days whilst I've been away. I didn't realise how good a job he's been doing in his very kind of young managerial career. So, I mean, listen, consideration, of course. Would he be my top candidate for the job? No. But, I mean, if you're winning titles places, and he seemed to do that in Colombia, I believe it was, and now he's over in Mexico doing a good job, doesn't, like, you know, I'm sitting here banging the drum about Wilfred Nancy after winning the MLS and doing well with Columbus Crew. Christ. I would be rude to say I'm not banging a drum of Efrain Juarez if it's a choice. Yeah, look, listen, we'll see if his name goes any further. I don't think he'll be a kind of top contender in the eyes of the Celtic board anyway. But it is interesting to see his name come up, and I think he's definitely worth a shout. To be quite honest. And on that note, thoughts on the links with Pete Lockery. I'll need to ask the boy. He'll fill me in. I'm sure he's got all the rumours about Pete Lockery. So let's talk about that then. Wednesday, I keep saying Wednesday. I don't know, my calendar in my head is all over the place, and because I've got this cold, I've just been out of commission all morning. Let's talk about that, and let's talk about the opinions of what you guys are saying about it, because I do want to hear all of the things that you have to say. I was just so disappointed and angry, man. I really was. I felt like I've already burnt every bridge I had of being invited back to like fan media press conferences. If I was on this channel on Thursday, oh my Lord God Almighty, I would get my season ticket revoked. I'm not even joking when I say it. I would have got my season ticket revoked. So I'm glad that I've kind of calmed down a little bit. Jay saying that we went from Kuhn and Alistair Johnston the right to Ralston Forest in 2025. Bold needs to go. Which is followed up on the opinions of Anthony Ralston. Anthony Ralston, let me make this fucking clear right now, shouldn't wear a Celtic shirt again. He shouldn't. And I've been saying this for years on this channel. You know, this isn't a new opinion of Ryan 118. I have been constantly on that sort of bandwagon. Well out of his depths, not good enough, embarrassing on Thursday. And he's not the only one. I'd feel harsh if I was just, you know, giving him stick and then giving nobody else stick. He was pathetically bad. Like, I've said this before in the past, and I'll say it again. Tony Ralston probably doesn't start for any other team in the Scottish Premiership. And you may go, oh, don't talk shite, Ryan. Does he? Does he seriously? I don't think he would get into the Falkirk team. Livingston is about the only one, and even at that, I think Martindale would go, no, you're alright. Genuinely. There's a reason he went to Dundee United and St Johnstone loan and couldn't get a fucking game. And he was mince. Boy's rotten. He's terrible. And I have no fucking shame in admitting it. Thank you, Adam. But can we get a big shout out and a big thank you to Adam in the chat, by the way, who's gifted out 5 channel memberships. So well done to Loch McCarty, Jamie Parker, Irish Carmine, Ross Connor, and Stephen, who have all picked up channel memberships courtesy of Adam. Big thank yous to Adam in the chat. Love you, mate. It's always good to keep growing the community. Yeah, exactly, Sonny Boy, and that's just another. And I get that Ralston has been in the squad for a reason. The reason being he's Scottish, and we need to keep these homegrown players, right? I get that that's the main reason that he's probably stuck around in this team. But for me, that is just a prime example of the negligence that we have gone through as a football club to end up in a position where Tony Ralston has been a Celtic first team player for like 6-7 years. He shouldn't have been here beyond his first couple of seasons. And yet here we are. He had a brief resurgence through Ange Postecoglou's first term, which was, I don't know what happened there, one of the greatest purple patches you will ever see in a footballer, and yet somehow still here out of just plain sentimentality, it feels like. Or just convenience. It's not. Do you know what? It's not. Do you know what? In fairness, I don't even think it is sentimentality. I just think it's convenience. That's all. Thank you, Aaron, who's been a member for 14 months, saying, mind with the board couldn't be arsed defending us after the Israeli manager called us all anti-Semitic. They fucking hate us all. Yeah, so we've not even got in. We'll save that towards the end of the stream because I want to talk about the actual football first. Of course, the situation last night with the Celtic statement and the banning of the Green Brigade for the next few games. Yeah, the Celtic board don't care about us. They don't care about anybody. And this isn't, take the situation with the statements and the Green Brigade aside for a minute. No matter what your opinions of all of that is right now, which I don't want to get dragged into, they hate us. They absolutely fucking detest us. And it's moments like that, people just like brush under the carpet and forget. So when we got the statement a couple of weeks ago about everything going on and people, and it was like the one, or I should say about a month ago, and it was the Saturday night statement, and it treated us all like fucking idiots. Like, and then you get the endless board defenders who sit there and go, they just defend them, you know? People forget about things like that. We actually had the manager of a national team coming out and calling our support anti-Semitic. And our board done nothing to stand up in support of their fans. Nothing. They don't care about us. They hate us. They hate us with a burning fucking passion. They would love us to go away if we weren't putting money in their fucking pockets. We're scum to them. We're scum. Simple as that. Martin O'Neill won us. Tony saying that Martin O'Neill won us the biggest game of the season so far last Sunday. He's a legend. Nothing he could do against a side like that. They're a level above no matter what their background is. I find myself caught in two worlds about that sort of opinion, Tony. I do agree. Martin O'Neill has came in and done what he can to steady the ship, and he will leave with my appreciation for that. Let's face the facts here. Martin O'Neill will leave after Sunday. Sunday will be his, or after tomorrow, I should say. That will be his last game. But he'll go with my appreciation, even after how disappointing Thursday was. Thursday is not down to Martin O'Neill. It's not down to Martin O'Neill. He needs to take some of the tactical responsibility, of course, because you shouldn't be conceding 3 goals in the space of 10 minutes, no matter... The gap is not that big. It's not. I don't care. It's not that big. Yeah, it's a level above that we shouldn't be even having to consider. We should not be sitting here saying that Michelin are a level above us. It's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. And that's, once again, that's not Martin O'Neill's fault. Martin O'Neill didn't allow the squad. If it often makes me think, like, or I say it often, it recently has me often thinking, if like O'Neill was here and he was younger, if Martin O'Neill was like 10, 15 years younger, or if he was just the same age he was right now, or that he was when he was in his first tenure, what would he have said to the board if they let the squad get to this point? If Martin O'Neill was actually a serious, permanent, full-time candidate for the Celtic job, what would he say to their faces about the state of this Celtic squad? I often think about what that would be like, because I think that Martin O'Neill has some very harsh truths he would love to share if he wasn't just there on a temporary basis right now. I mean, he was given the harsh truths on the radio 24 hours before he was appointed as temporary manager. You know, so it's just, yeah, it's a state, and he will go with my appreciation. I don't think he was completely devoid of any blame for what happened at the end of the day. He's the manager, and he's managing a game of football, which you have to manage better. But I wouldn't say he was to blame for what happened on Thursday. NC 2002, thank you as well for the the loyalty to the channel, said it wasn't long ago our homegrown players were Brown, Tierney, Forrest, McGregor, Christie, Armstrong and Gordon all able to play first team football. And like, yeah, it's terrifying, isn't it? And I understand that, like, I don't think the crop of Scottish players coming through right now are as good as the crop that were coming through in the mid-2010s. For every, like, Stuart Armstrong and for every Ryan Christie and for every Scott Brown, I think the players that could match them are ones that are just sadly too good for us. The likes of Lewis Ferguson, who's at Bologna at Serie A, could have got a move to Juventus if it wasn't for an injury. The likes of John McGinn, who's a captain of a Premier League side. The likes of Scott McTominay, who is a Ballon d'Or contending Scotsman. You know, it's hard for us to get those players, but the players that we can get, I just don't think are as good a crop anyway. So it's a catch-22. You know, there's no win there. Like, we're talking about bringing in David Watson, who I would be fine with signing, and I hope that he would go on to be a great player for us. But is David Watson anywhere near the level the likes of a Christie or an Armstrong was when we signed them from Dundee United or Inverness? No, I don't think so. I don't think he's even close, to be quite honest. So it's just a really difficult one for, like, I've always said that the homegrown player situation is far wider than a Celtic issue, and this is the only fucking time you're going to hear me giving Celtic any kind of bypass on anything here. Like, I'm not letting them away with anything. Celtic have neglected this club and ended up in this position because of their own wrongdoings. But when it comes to the breeding of young players, and when it comes to bringing those guys into the team, that was a strange way to word it, wasn't it? The breeding of young players. Anyway, when it comes to, like, getting these young players and bringing them through, it's wider than a Celtic issue. It's a Scotland issue. It's a Scotland issue. But then again, you can flip that. This is what I'm saying. It's kind of like catch-22. You can flip that. We could have probably got McGinn if we were willing to spend money. We could have probably got Lewis Ferguson if we were better at attacking the Scottish market. Who knows? There's other players around there in that kind of mould now that we could have been in ahead of and got. We had Andy Robertson. We let him go. So, you know, I think it depends on what way you want to look at it, to be quite honest. How do you go from Kyogo and Maeda to Forrest, Kenny and Taneki in a year? Yep. And can I say something that might be controversial to say? I think I actually already said this. I think I maybe said it like last week or something before the Falkirk game. And Taneki is not that good. I think he benefited from coming into a very poor Celtic team at a very poor time. He ain't that good. He can beat a man, great, but there's so much work to be done there. Very raw. I'm at the point now when I see his name in the front three, I don't go, oh good, Taneki's playing. I don't think he makes that big a difference. That might be a controversial opinion. I think by the sounds of it, I think a lot of people are now swaying to that opinion, but I think he's definitely somebody who will go on to improve and be a reliable player for us. I just mean at this moment in time, he's not a Scott Sinclair, he's not a Dyson Maeda, he's not any of these players at their best, for me. Yeah, just a long way to go for Taneki, in my opinion. Can I have a listen to Coldplay after Thursday? Adam, trust me, that'll be stained in my memory for a long, long time. I don't know what's worse, that or the Yabba Dabba Doo of Bayern Munich. I'm not entirely sure. Got a lot of comments flying, a lot of points I want to go through. We're not going to go off in the next 5 minutes. I'm going to keep going for maybe another 20 or so tonight, just because we have so much to catch up on and so much to talk about. I do apologise for no videos while I was over in Denmark. As you can see, I'm a little bit bagged up. Or banged up, I should say. There was a point, so somebody I don't want to get dragged into this too much because there's a lot of pish anyway, but I did see someone, I think it was Paul Cassidy, a channel member, who said, is it true we're getting Andy Robertson a pre-contract? Number one, no, not true. I'm not saying that it's not a possibility, but where it's been sourced from, not reliable in the slightest. I wouldn't get yourself dragged into it. But what I will say, on the top of that, also Loch McCarthy, that is a terrible opinion, sir. That is a terrible opinion. Terrible opinion. Take that back right now. But on the topic of Andy Robertson, why should we get Andy Robertson? Can anybody justify it for me? Anybody? What are we? What have we become? Just a fucking sad retirement home, sentimental fucking Addams Family fucking club. Like, what are we doing? What would we benefit from in getting Andy Robertson? He's done. He's fucking washed. We get him for a year on his last legs. Oh, that's just what we need. Another fucking left back that can't run. What? Why should we even entertain the idea of Andy fucking Robertson coming to Celtic? Oh, but he supports the club. I fucking support the club. You're not going to put me at left back. Like, No. I seen it, and I think a lot of people expect it was very poorly timed. You know, it was a very poorly timed exclusive to break because it came after a lot of animosity existing within the fans after the game on Thursday. But even if there was truth in it, like, I like Andy Robertson. I think he's a great guy. I'm sure he's a fucking great role model and all that jazz. No, absolutely no. No, I don't want it. Don't want to entertain it, to be quite honest. Sorry for offending your family, Adam. I didn't mean to take it that way. Aidan saying, I think that Europe is a mentality issue of this club. Every team in the last 10 years has took a doing every year. I mean, mentality probably is a huge part to it, but like, I mean, nobody, apart from James Forrest, exists within the walls of Celtic that were part of the squad, say, 10 years ago. Callum McGregor as well, maybe. Even at that, McGregor was only kind of debuting around 10 years ago. There's been one constant in these last 10, 15 years. It's the ones in the boardroom. That's where that is. Tell you what, the stick that some of us, including myself, gave Greg Taylor, and some people said this, some people said the writing was on the walls with this, and if you were one of the ones with this opinion, fair play, congrats, you were right, but some people said, we'll miss Greg Taylor when he's gone and Kieran Tierney comes back, and boy oh boy do I miss Greg Taylor. I still think we should have improved on Taylor. We didn't do that. We didn't do that at all. Anyway, I'm not going to get dragged into the Andy Robertson stuff because it's pish anyway. Like, there's nothing there to get, kind of carried away on just now when it's pretty much a nothing story. So, aye. People asking where I got the hat, by the way. Shout out to Tees for Tims. The guy sent me this over. I think, I don't know if it's on their website or not yet. But they sent me this over. And it's a belter. It's an absolute belter. So Tees for Tims if you want to go and look for the merch. It's got some great stuff, especially coming up to Christmas time. Don't be putting money into Celtic Football Club, be giving it to the independent sellers who make much better stuff anyway. Right, so we're still talking about foot. Let's keep on the topic of Thursday for another 5 minutes or so. Do you know what is funny as well, right? I was walking myself yesterday, so we checked out of our Airbnb in Herning, right? We all sat down outside the Irish pub, and I was like, I'm going to go a wee walk for fucking half an hour just to stretch my legs, get some fresh air. So I went a walk, and there was like if you were there in Herning, you'll remember seeing the fucking millions of campaign posters, or must be like local elections on or something. And I was walking past a Danish TV crew who stopped me and asked me in Danish to do something. I was like, sorry, I'm Scottish here for the football. And they were like, oh, Celtic supporter. I was like, I know. Would you mind doing some words for Danish TV? And I said, aye, fire on, go ahead. And like, do you know how embarrassing it was having to sit there and listen to them ask the questions about how we're so bad? One of the questions from them, I don't know the TV networks, I don't know if it ever aired or whatever in Denmark, but they were like, why are Celtic so bad in Europe? Midtjylland, are you impressed with what Midtjylland are doing in Europe this year? Are you impressed that they're top? And I'm having to sit there and go, oh, it's mighty impressive. You know, look at this, a wee team with 10,000 seats in their ground and they're top of the Europa League. Like, why are we not there? I'll tell you why. Don't need to tell you why. You know fucking why. So many problems at Celtic at the minute, but I mean the one huge glaring one is the one that I'm going to sit here and that was essentially it, Aaron. That was essentially the tone of the question. Why are you that shite? You know, I'm sitting there going, you tell me, mate. Yeah, I mean, if Dyson moves on in January, that's another player of real quality gone with no faith whatsoever that we're going to actually replace him. And look, I've made it. I'm not going to change my tune all of a sudden. I said like 2 months ago, I'm fine with Maida going in January. I am, and I still am, because we're out of Europe anyway. This is something I've not even touched on. We're out. I don't see a world in which we go through now. Like, that's it. We're going to be knocked out of the weakest Europa League there's been in years before there's even a chance to salvage it by match day 8. Some people might be like, oh, Ryan, you're getting dragged away. No, how can I justify it? How? Are we going to beat Roma? No, absolutely not. Are we going to go to the Coupe and meet Feyenoord? No. Are we going to go to Italy and beat Bologna? No. We have one win left in our bank, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not even sure of that. Utrecht. I don't even know if we will beat them. We're out. It's finished. It's over. This is the weakest Europa League I have ever seen. And this is the rat's arse we've made of it. We've made a shepherd's pie out of it. It's a state. And that's so, we should all be so angry about that. We are probably never, ever going to get a chance like this again. I genuinely believe that. I just don't see us getting these chances. Ultimately, you want to get back into Champions League football, right? That's where you want to be. So when you get put in to the Europa League and you're given an open goal and you miss this remarkably, like, my God, I just don't see us getting a chance like this. I really don't. No, in the immediate future. I mean, we're going to be waiting a while. We really are. And you've got to think about it. We need to be in the Europa League again to win that. I don't want to be fucking losing more qualifiers to teams from Kazakhstan. I don't want to be losing league titles to Rangers to get us into Europa League. So, if we wanted Europa League glory, this year was the year, and we don't get that chance now. We're out, and I don't know. Like, if you are in the chat and you disagree, right? I will hear you out. Tell me if you disagree, because I seen somebody saying, "Oh, fuck up," for example. If you don't think we're out, tell me what route you think we take to go through now, because it would take an absolute miracle. And I would just love to hear your opinions if you think that we're going to go through, because I need to hear your justification for it, quite frankly. Not to be overly negative. I hate being negative, but what's there to be positive about? You know, there's nothing. I should have explained the Celtic board to Celtic TV, Jackie. I thought I would save them the hassle right enough. I did tell them that I hate them right enough, but aye. Lisbon Lad 67 saying simply that the board have created the worst Celtic squad I've ever seen. The likes of KT, Ralston and so many more need to be binned. They're nowhere near Celtic standard. Yep, I think a lot of that feeling is shared amongst the wider support right now, and it's a shame to be talking about Tierney like that, but what has he showed us to suggest that we have, you know, it's a sad reality, but it's the reality we're sort of living in, quite frankly. Sorry, Nathan. Apologies. I've seen a lot of people just saying that we're out. Isn't it Feyenoord, Bologna and Roma are next 3? Yep, that is the next 3 games. Not in that order, right enough. I believe it's Roma, Feyenoord, Bologna, and then Utrecht. That's the run. I'm pretty sure. And if you think we're going to get, what do we need? At least 7 points? Not happening. Not happening. We're still the best team in the world. Not even the best team in fucking Scotland at this rate. Yeah, I agree, Rayan. That's basically it. We're out. The only chance is if we hit that level of performance. But like, people are forgetting the amount of injuries and stuff we have. It's just not going to happen. It's just impossible. If we were in the Conference League, we'd fucking struggle right now. I've not seen your tweet yet, Rayan. I've not seen it yet. I'll need to check afterwards. Right, so that kind of wraps up my thoughts about. We're gonna keep going. Got about 10 more minutes, and I want to get all your points as well about different things. That kind of wraps up my thoughts about this week in Europe. And just to summarise quickly in one final line here, I'm just embarrassed about where we are as a football club, that we need to go into an international stage and show our arses to these teams without any actual fight. There's no inclination, there's no suggestion that we will be able to fight back and recover this embarrassment of a European campaign. So that's kind of my summary about that. Right, very quickly, and I'm not going to spend too long on this because it's a very divisive subject. It's one that ultimately I'm not qualified to be representing or talking about with any real kind of, I don't know, people shouldn't be listening to my opinion on this. Celtic provided an update and put out a statement last night in relation to an incident that happened at Celtic Park on the game against Falkirk. This statement came out last night and essentially has announced that the Green Brigade will serve a suspension from Celtic Park until a point in December. They're going to miss the next 6 games, I believe, home and away, which means that they will miss the huge games against Hearts and the game against Roma as well. I think I need to read through it again, but basically, video prop of the incident, accusations by the club saying that Green Brigade members allegedly served in over 100 individuals or something, or around 100 individuals I should say, verbally abused and assaulted stewards and police officers, confined them in a space, and different things. You've read through it. As I said, it's not a pleasant statement at all. The Green Brigade then fired back with their own statement as well, which basically said that the treatment from Police Scotland and such has been... Oh, my camera's frozen. Is my camera frozen for everybody? Oh, has my camera just died? Mid-stream. While I'm talking about quite a serious topic. You've got to be joking me. If I froze for everybody. What's happened here? Activate. Bring me back, please. I'm gone. What's just happened? Well, this is great, this. Fantastic. Let me try and restart it and see if that works. This is like the most unfortunate of times for the camera to freeze on me. Hold on, I'm trying to restart it. Let's see if this does me any good. Hold on. Oh God almighty. Right, let's try this. Hopefully this has worked. Please work, please. No, it's not worked. Well, I might need to just do a share screen for the last portion of the stream. Try to deactivate and activate it again. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get anywhere here. Something's happened. The board are shutting down the stream, it seems. Let's just jump back over here then, just very quickly, while I wrap up the stream. I don't think Celtic are doing anybody any favours here, of course. Any behaviour that does have that includes any abuse or whether that's verbal or physical, I can't and I don't condone that here on the channel. But I do believe that the other statement that's came out has said that all of this is accusation and all of this is to be built on, because this is the only video that the club have shared of the incident, which really shows nothing if you've seen it on the website. And it's just the fans running to the concourse section. The Green Brigade have asked for body cam footage, I think, to be shared, and yeah, they're going to serve a suspension. It comes at a time where the fan anger is at a boiling point, and just things aren't going to get better at this football club anytime soon. So we're at a right mess. We're at a right pickle, ladies and gentlemen. We're at a really, really messy stage of supporting Celtic. COVID, it just feels like COVID is happening all over again. Which is just really, really frustrating. But yeah, on that note, I'm probably going to have to wrap up the stream early because I was going to do further questions and answers. But I can't talk about I can't do that if you would be looking at a screen like this because my cameras went on the fritz for some reason, and it's just not letting me reactivate it at all. So I think I'm going to just have to wrap up prematurely today, and try and get back to maybe some content later on, and then obviously tomorrow for the situation. I agree. Yeah, if the fan side of what happened is all true, that it makes the club. Like, listen, the club are very quick to jump in and siding with anybody who is opposing the Celtic supporters, no matter if they are members of fan organisations or not. And they've showed time and time again that they just don't care about us. And I know who I stand with. I stand with my fellow Celtic supporters, and I always will. So, at my faceless end to the stream, that's my words. I always stand with the supporters. But aye, there you go, ladies and gents. I'm going to have to wrap it up there as I'm dying. The cold is coming back to get me. Anyways, it feels like this is a sign, Ryan. Get to your bed, son. Thank you for tuning in. I do apologise for the camera cutting out towards the end. Content will be back to normal as well, starting tonight and heading into tomorrow. Members content will have an FM stream probably tomorrow afternoon before the Celtic game. Or keep an eye on the Discord for any updates on an exact time for that. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. I've appreciated your company here today, ladies and gentlemen. And as I said, content back to normal and daily for the next few